Good afternoon, everyone. Let's get started. My name is Matthew LeBlanc, and I'm SherWeb's Channel Director, and I'd like to officially welcome you to today's webinar entitled 4 Steps to Better Project Management. As I said, my name is Matthew, and I have the pleasure of being accompanied today by 2 unique individuals, Eamon McGuinness, Chief Executive Officer at BrightWork. BrightWork is the most effective SharePoint project management solution available in market today. It's got a lot of best practice templates, advanced cross-project reporting, and excellent portfolio management dashboards, all on SharePoint. After all, their slogan says it all: project management success made easy. Thanks for being with us today, Eamon. We'll get back to you in a few minutes. Also joining me today is Daniel Ali, Associate Director at Connex Technologies. Connex is a dynamic, young company composed of very experienced specialists in information technologies who offer both integration services of existing solutions and also development services for custom and new solutions. So thank you for being with us today, Daniel. So to our participants, of course, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know time is very valuable. We appreciate it. We're going to cover this webinar in about 35-40 minutes with a Q&A session at the end. So please, throughout the presentation or the webinar, feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A window of the GoToMeeting on the right-hand side. And we'll get to them as we go, or if not possible, we'll certainly address them at the end of the webinar. Okay, so please, let's make this interactive, ask questions, and if we can, we'll address them as they pop up. So, to all of our participants today, it's probably become clear by now by the speakers that are on the call today and by the title of today's webinar, 4 Steps to Better Project Management, that we've structured the webinar in a way to bring 3 levels of expertise to you, the customer, to offer you the best service possible. So these industry leaders like BrightWork are experts of the application level, so the application BrightWork itself. Then you have Connex Technology as the expert integrator, so to take BrightWork and adapt it to your specific needs based on your overall project objectives and goals and how you manage projects within your company. And finally, SherWeb as the hosting and infrastructure specialist. So this is really our approach today, to bring you expert skill sets from 3 different partners that together have built an excellent solution that we can extend to you, the end customer, in your project management requirements. So on that note, let's get into it. So here's what the agenda is going to look like. We're going to get right into the meat of today's webinar, which is really 4 steps to better project management. Eamon is going to really show you through content and also a live demo different things like the templates that are available, the tracking options available within BrightWork, work management, and best practices. So that's going to take up about half an hour. After Connex is going to talk a little bit about their expertise around integration and deployment of the BrightWork solution. And then I'll come back and spend maybe 4 or 5 minutes with you at the end to talk to you a little bit about SherWeb and SherWeb's hosting and infrastructure expertise. And then we'll have the Q&A session at the end. So on that note, let's get started. Eamon, the show is yours.
That's great. Many thanks, Matthew. And folks, nice to be with you today. Make sure this... there we go. I think we got, and I think JP is going to maybe launch a poll to get us started. Folks, I thought I'd start with a question, if that's okay. And we'll just wait for you to see this poll here. The question is really, how do we understand project management success? Yeah. So the question basically is, how is project management success in your group? And let me talk you through the answers, and this will really help us get our head in gear for today's session. So, you could say that number 1, every project we run is on time, on budget. We're just incredibly positive and strong about project management, nothing to worry about. So that could be number 1. Or number 2, you might say, well, we're not really that good, but at least we have real-time visibility into every project. So if every project isn't going well, we'll at least be able to see what's not going so well, and we'll be able to track and make changes and control. And if you say, well, we don't actually have real-time visibility into all our projects, but I'm not so worried, because number 3, everybody on the team is trained in project management. They're trained in project management. Or it could be, maybe that's not actually the case. Maybe they're not trained in the way we want. So what we probably need to do is we probably need to give folks some templates and approaches that mimic how we would like the people to manage projects. So if you would select one of the 4, projects are perfect, we can see into every single project real time, we know exactly what's going on, everybody's trained in the way we want them to manage projects, or it'd be safer if we gave folks templates and approaches to manage their projects. And as we collect responses, actually it's interesting. It's a very healthy 2/3. It's the highest I've ever seen. 2/3 of the folks are saying number 2, and about 1/3 are saying number 4. About 1/3 are saying number 4. Okay, so we're just going to close off that poll, and we're back to the slide deck. What I'm going to do as we move from the poll is, I'm going, and thank you for your participation in that. What we're going to do is we're going to now move into an executive summary. So I'm going to kind of talk through some of the project management ideas, practices, approaches that we have, and then we'll move into a demo. So I'm going to do the first with a few slides. And I'm going to start with 4 ideas or 4 points. And I'm going to express them in project management terms, obviously backed up by collaborative software like SharePoint. So number 1, it might say, look, kind of picking on the answer to the poll there, the last answer for the folks where it was relevant. Number 1 would say, why not have a set of templates that mimic the way you would like your groups to manage projects, maybe more than 1 template, and give folks those templates to give them a fast start so they're worrying about less to begin with. So why not do that? Now, number 2, if indeed you do give them those templates, then you know where the data is stored. So if they create projects from those templates, so why not surface from the resulting projects the key data that summarizes what's happening in the project and have that float up to the dashboards in real time. So sift from the projects the key data you want and have that on a set of control panels so you know what's happening with projects at any time you check. Now, the third point is that for most of the customers we meet, we're dealing with maybe occasional project managers. So you're not dealing with people who are managing projects all day, every day, and in the project management software, whatever it is, all the time. You're dealing with people that maybe I'm a designer and I'm running projects. I'm an IT person, I'm running projects. I'm an architect, I'm running projects. So my main job is something else, but I'm involved in the running or managing of projects occasionally. So I'm not as likely to be jumping in and out of the software 100 times a day. So the third idea would be connect the teams you're working with the software. Maybe it's an email once a week with status across their projects. Maybe it's an email twice a week with work outstanding, work due, and so on. So nudge people, and those connections, they can physically look at them, and that might be enough. Or for some of them, they may wish to drill down and connect. Now, if you get that cycle of 1, 2, 3 working, 1, if you remember, was give people templates. 2, pull reports off those projects because you know the template. And number 3, connect people with the project management software, with the collaborative environment, and connect people through that. If you get that working, then you build a very solid foundation for success. And what you can then do is start improving, adapting, and changing. So, for example, this slide is showing you an example of a template for new project request management. So you would think, of course, that you'd have templates to manage projects, but when we talk to our customers, what they'll find is, look, these projects aren't doing so well. I just wish they didn't start them at all, or I wish they didn't start them in this manner, in this fashion. So a lot of the challenges can be averted by governing and filtering how we evaluate, assess, and approve projects. And if that's the case, why not have a template in SharePoint for it? So again, maturing and evolving the use of templates. This slide here shows you some of the templates that come with BrightWork. But if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see probably the most important thing. So you see that blue line. So that's showing you the amount of project management. So do you need and desire an ultralight amount, a light amount, a standard, or a structured? Maybe even ask yourself that question, and feel free to pop your answer in the chat or in the question area. In other words, how much project management do you have going on in your groups at the moment? How much project management is it? A light amount, a standard amount? And then the question becomes, how much do you think is going on versus how much would you like to think is going on? How much would you like to think is going on? And I know some people would be saying, well, we're light or standard, and some other people would be saying, well, we're across a number of different areas. So some light, some standard, and some project structured, and that makes sense. So what you want to do is you want to pick the amount of project management that your group A needs and B is capable of deploying and stomaching. And then if that's varying amounts of project management, you want your portfolio or project office dashboards to be able to accommodate that and report across that. The last maybe one or two ideas on how to approach project management. The software really, of course, makes it easier, but what's the philosophy, what's the thinking? So if you look on the left-hand side, we would say what a lot of people want to do is control portfolios or bunches of projects. But to do that, number two, they need to manage each individual project successfully. But to do that, number three, they need people on the project to be able to contribute to the success. And that's how we build up the project management capability in an organization. And finally, what we would say is, and I'm going to go to the demo in a second, finally what we would say is, you decide where you're ready to start your project management. And the BrightWork solution will meet you at that point. And hopefully that's a point where you'll get some immediate visibility and you'll be able to exercise control, and then gradually evolve the project management so that you get the amount that you need and desire at that point in time. And our software is specifically built, the BrightWork software, with this philosophy in mind. Okay. On our website, if you're interested in learning about the stories of our various customers, then you can find that there. So now I'm just going to share my screen. So I think JP would probably make me presenter, and there we go. So I'm just going to show my screen, and I now see that you can see my screen. Great. So we're going to go into the demo, and let me see. I probably have about 15 to 20 minutes max for this demo. So I'll go through it, and please ask lots of questions on the way through, and we'll certainly pick them up towards the end of the webinar. Okay, so most of us are used to managing projects in Microsoft Excel. So that would seem like a good place to start. So why not have a grid inside of SharePoint like the one here, and this is our projects tracker. And you see that the name of the project, there's the priority of the project, so we make that a low priority. There's the project manager, and we're going to drag my name down to the first 3 projects. So I'm dragging and dropping as I would in Excel. The status, and the key information that you want to share about the project, you just manage it in a grid. Why would you put it in a grid in Excel to start with? Well, that's what people are used to using. They're used to using Excel. So if you can give them an Excel alternative inside of SharePoint, you'll get people deployed very quickly, because it's familiar territory, but it also has advantages. It's just one version of the truth. I only have to go to one place. I always know if I go there, that's the key. In fact, let me just change this first project, hardware inventory, to be finance, and let's say the status is in progress. We made a couple of changes there, and we click stop editing. And then we look at view tracker. So what we've done is we've gone into a grid, and in that particular grid, we find it easy to make changes. Anyone who clicks on the tracker can see a very nice tracker that they would, almost like a project management dashboard. And if we click this particular item here, this is this project, and we click in version history in the top left, we'll see the changes that were made to this, including the ones that we just made there a couple of minutes ago, okay, or less than a minute ago. So the point being that an easy way to start is to give people something like this project tracker template and the ability to mimic Excel with extra advantages that you wouldn't get from sending Excel files around the place. Now, this particular template allows you to manage multiple projects in one template. So a very easy way to start. But you might say, well, what if I wanted to have a project on its own? Like, if I had my webcam on, I probably should have thought of that, you'd see that I have gray hair. So I'm involved in project management a good few years, and I do remember when we started managing projects way back in the day, it was a big thing to be on a project, an organizational project, and that project got its own room, like a physical room. Now, many initiatives are treated as projects, and the teams are dispersed across the floor, the building, the city, across the country and across countries and regions and across borders. So we have virtual rooms. So this is an example of a virtual room for a project, and this one happens to use a SharePoint site. So it's a project in a site in SharePoint. So if I look on the left, you can see Project Home. I can see Initiate and Plan My Project with tasks and documents. I can see Execute and Control with work reports, issues, and status reporting. So not a tremendous amount of project management, enough for a project light, enough to help people who want to manage a project but don't want to feel overburdened. Maybe they're not able for too much project management just yet, or maybe the project doesn't merit or deserve it. And you see we've got the ability to set up the project, edit the project statement or charter, set the initial date, add the tasks, add the documents. So those tiles are convenient when you're helping people get started, and once you don't need them anymore, like a good interface, you can get rid of them. And if you see down here, we've got some key metrics on the project, and we've got a dashboard of what's happening, tasks by status and the overdue items, issues, and so on. I can come in here to the task update, as you would expect, and I can go into edit, and I can change these items. I can click on status reporting, and I can create a new status report for the project. So it's project status. We just say now, so we can pick it up easily. It picks up the period that I'm ending, the current finish date of the project, and I'll say that I'm 95% finished on the project. Project almost completed. What it actually did was it took the status comments from the last one and copy them in so that I can edit them. So we'll say that project is almost completed. And then I do save. And what it does is it merges information in the site, like the finish dates and the status indicators, and it puts that with what I type in there to create a status report. One of our customers is Amazon, and they say status report in less than 3 minutes. In less than 3 minutes. A useful status report in less than 3 minutes. So you get this sense of a site managing a project. Now, think about this. What if we had many project sites, each managing an individual project, every project happy, but then what we need to do is we need to be able to manage across those projects. So here's an example of a project office where I actually have a number of projects, and I have them aggregating or rolling up to this project office template. You can see down here a summary of all my projects, and then you can see the summary of each individual project in my set of projects or project office. I can click here on these links, and I can see, status reports or status charts for the actual project. So I see here a scorecard, August, September, and then I can have a scorecard by day, week, month, quarter, year, and so on. The idea being quite simple, actually, when you think about it. Each list in SharePoint, be it issues or risks or tasks or documents, or the status report itself, each list contains a piece of my project, and because I happen to have it in one site, if I add intelligent reporting on top, which comes with BrightWork, then I can actually see what's happening across all my projects in a project office view. Okay. Now, continuing the demo, if we say, well, look, that project light template was good, but what if I want more project management? So I want the same idea of a project site, but I want more project management in that site. So here we look at initiate has goals for the project and contacts. Plan has tasks, of course, again, document, but it now has risks and resource reports. Control has issues, metrics, and status reporting. So you get the sense by looking at the quick launch on the left that you basically have more project management. You still have the tiles here to help you get started. And if I just pick out one item in this template, if I go into the task update area here, actually, if you note that this project is finishing on the 3rd of October. So if you look down here, it was on the dashboard 10/3, and October 3 if you look in the bottom right-hand side. Okay. So now I'm going to go to edit this task list, and I'm going to say that each task is going to take 27 days. Right. So I'm just going to drag them all down here. So I've updated my tasks, and I could make other updates like start dates and finish dates and so on. And you get the sense that it's quite easy to, in fact, if I show you here, if I go into edit mode, if you haven't already seen it, I can indent and outdent tasks and create a kind of a work breakdown structure very easily, all in the browser. Okay. Now what I want to do though is I want to say I made some changes to my project. I wonder when will it now finish. In the first template I showed you, so I'm going to press calculate schedule. In the first template I showed you, I told it when the project was finishing. But in this template, I'm comfortable for the software to tell me when the project is actually going to finish. And again, this is the whole. And if I go back to the home page of the project, we'll see that it is recalculated, and I'm now finishing on the 17th of October rather than the 3rd. And all the other metrics are updated. So the point being that when you update one or two items or more items in the project site, it automatically updates all the dashboards for you. And for those who are keen on telling it when the project's going to finish, you can put in the finish date. For those of you who prefer to say, I'd like it to calculate the schedule for me and calculate the start and finish dates and have that tell me when the project's finished, that automatic scheduling and calculation can be done for you as well. Okay, so we've got about 5 more minutes, maybe just about 5 in the demo. So if you think about what we've had so far, we have a site where you can manage many projects in an Excel-like grid. You have another project light template where you can create its own site. Actually, I didn't show you how to create that site. Let me just see here. I go to the project office home. So you're seeing a dashboard in a second, and the dashboard will show you here a summary of what's happening across the project, this project office, and it also gives you the ability to create a new project. So we're not going to actually physically go through this. So you put in the title, and it automatically defaults to the entered user as the project manager. You can change that, of course, and you can see the number of steps to create a new project, and you can reduce that by setting default. And if I go next, it says select a template. So what it does is it shows me the templates. Of course, you can have some out of the box from BrightWork, and you can create your own template. And that's how you put people on the correct set of rail tracks so they can create a project site based on a template that comes with the software or that you modify. And then if you keep going, it will just create a project, and then you get, if you use Project Lite, you get a site like the one we're looking at here. You also have another template called the Project Structured template. Project Structure template. And the Project Structure template has even more project management. You can see things like lessons learned, if you look in the bottom left, change requests. And this one has advanced synchronization with Microsoft Project. So if we look at things like the critical tasks, so that would be like the critical path of the project, then that's something calculated by a Microsoft Project. If things like baselines, costs, variances, the kind of heavy lifting that Microsoft Project does, then what actually happens here is you synchronize with Microsoft Project, and when you synchronize with Microsoft Project, what actually happens is, so you open with Project, so you open this task list in Microsoft Project, you synchronize back in, you make the changes you want to Microsoft Project, you synchronize back in, and BrightWork is smart enough to pick up all the extra fields in Microsoft Project, variances and so on, and suck them into SharePoint, and then report on them for this project and across the various projects. Now, another, if we look here, and we just think about it, we're managing again across many projects, and maybe we've added a bunch of projects for the marketing department using the projects tracker. Maybe we added some projects for the finance department using the Project Lite. Maybe the engineering department used Project Standard. Maybe the IT department used the structured or some variant of it that you create. And then what you can do is, you can report across all of these with various views. So let me see the projects, for example, by manager. And then we see Ann Wallace is managing some, I'm managing others, and James Corbin managing others. So different templates with differing amounts of project management, used in different parts of your company, in different teams, but all aggregating to the one dashboard as you nominate. And then automatically doing it in a hierarchy. Also have the ability to do some what-if analysis. So you can create your own portfolios of projects. So you could say, can I have that project and give me that project, and let me switch them on and off, and let me run reports on them so I can see, well, what if I cancel that project, and what if I doubled up on that project, and so on. Two last items. This here is the templates area. So this is the area where we store all the templates that we ship for you in the product, and you can change and modify them to create your own templates. And I mentioned the idea of, for example, if I go into the Project Light template, actually I probably wanted to go into Training Project Light. That's what so I do Training Project Light. So that's a template that we're using. And if I go to show you some of the more advanced stuff, if I go Site Settings, which is a standard SharePoint command, and you see some extra ones added by BrightWork. So if I look at here, determine template usage. So we have a template, but how many projects, and I click on the right hand side, you see here, locate. So I click locate. So now it tells me that I have one project, and I could have more, using that template. And then I can go hunt down that project. So I might look, so I'm actually now clicking to that project. And then I look at that project and I think, you know what? We've made some changes to that template. We've made changes to the template that haven't come over to this project. You know what? I'm ready to take them over now. This is the start evolve. So I'm in the project that was created by that template. So I go Site Settings. And then I go Synchronize with Template. And what that does is it will take my live project, it will go back to the base template where maybe I added something for risk management. Maybe I changed some default settings, default views, maybe I added some reports. And it will then take those changes or evolutions that have been baked into the core template, and it will bring them and deploy them to my project, so my project is using the best and the latest that the company has to offer. And then the final, just to show you this template that we referenced earlier, another example of a template would be the Project Request Manager, a template with a process where people can log requests for new projects. They can be reviewed, they can be ranked, approved, rejected, and then we can automatically create a project off that. So I'm going to hand over to Daniel from Connect in a second, and I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and I suspect that should probably, Matthew will probably put the, or JP will probably put the slide deck back up. So in summary, you have SharePoint as a collaborative environment. You have BrightWork as a plugin with templates with varying amounts of project management. And this software is available to you through SherWeb. So if you go to SherWeb and search BrightWork, it will bring you to the SharePoint section where SherWeb have all the SharePoint offerings, including BrightWork as a plugin. So you can deploy the solution in the SherWeb cloud. You don't have to install anything. So it's a hosted cloud per user per month type solution. Now, if you like this solution and you'd like someone to help you deploy this solution, configure it, if you'd like some support in Canada, our strong partner Connect in Quebec would be delighted to assist. And I'm going to now hand you to Daniel, who will explain that to you. Daniel, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Simon, for this brief presentation. My name is Daniel Ali. I'm Associate Director for Connect Technology, expertise in primarily in project management. I just want to take a few minutes combining the offer from SherWeb and BrightWorks on the cloud at this point. If you need any advice or training or some accompaniment to implement what you saw today, we're the one in Canada that doing those kind of work to a bunch of clients, starting from 10 users for 250,000 users, depending on the size of your organization. So briefly, we're a young organization who started back many years ago, and now that are maybe focusing on project management primarily. And with our services, we did decide to become a deployment partner for BrightWork since 2014. Now it has been 3 years that we're partner with BrightWork, primarily doing some installation, software training services, implementation, integration with that solution. So you saw briefly with Eamon what's inside, but it's not on a 30-minute session that you can appreciate all the potential of the solution. So what we do in our services, mainly doing some services in private in project management, we offer you as also guidance to set up any project or PMO office. We do also a lot of work in designing, implement metrics and dashboard for the organization. So a lot of services combining the BrightWork solution into your organization, and specifically for BrightWork and SherWeb, we have some solution or some package, let's say, to start on the right foot with the solution. So we got a rapid deployment offer that we can assist you start really rapidly with the solution, making sure that you are on the right track at for the starting of the process. So that's one kind of the offer. That's the more rapid one offer. But some clients need more than that. They need to have a personalized training and deployment assistance to be sure that the BrightWork is used like it should be used. So, because that's a very well structured solution that need assistance. If you don't have any, let's say, competency in project management or into integrating those kind of solutions. So we offer like a 35-hour bank, a service bank, combining some deliverable to make sure that you're going to use that solution inside a few weeks and you get all started. So as you've seen in the PowerPoint now, we offer some installation and configuration assistance for you. We create the primary structure to be sure that you configure the solution correctly. We configure 2 sites templates to manage different type of project, and we also do the training and for your staff or support staff for using the solution rapidly. But we also got clients that they need very personalized training deployment for a larger audience. So we got a well-structured approach to do that. So we also use BrightWork to do those kind of project inside of clients' projects. So that's more of a big approach, combining our expertise and the combination with the templates that we saw with Eamon. Using the solution to implement a large part of the organization with the use of BrightWork. So that's the only thing I want to say. I'll let Matthew maybe talk about a little bit about SherWeb or their offer for BrightWork.
Thank you, Daniel. Matthew here. I'm back. So this is the last section of the webinar. We're just going to take a few minutes to talk about SherWeb and from the hosting and the infrastructure side of the whole solution, and then we'll take your questions. So on the SherWeb side, what's important to know is that we're a born-in-the-cloud company, meaning that we've been selling cloud services to partners and end customers for almost 20 years now. and we've gathered a customer base of 90,000 plus customers, managed across 7,000 partners in, well, really across 100 different countries all over the world. Our data center footprint, so these solutions available, so BrightWork on SharePoint at SherWeb is hosted in our Canadian data center here in Montreal. We've got 6 data centers across the US and Canada, so Montreal, Quebec, around the Toronto area, and down in the United States. So you have the ability to select your data residency if that is such a requirement. We at SherWeb have received quite a few awards over the last 20 years, notably the Microsoft Hosting Partner of the Year Winner Award in 2013 and finalists in 14 and 16, and others as well. But I'll let you read that or look at the deck in the copy that we'll send you post webinar. Overall, our strategy at SherWeb is really to be a one-stop shop for cloud services. So we're specifically talking about BrightWork here, but on the hosting side, at SherWeb you have access to over 50 different kind of cloud solutions, from SaaS to PaaS to IaaS, infrastructure as a service platform, and software as a service applications. From your traditional collaboration communication tools like Hosted Exchange, Link, SharePoint of course, to even Office 365, Azure, Dynamics 365, so Microsoft hosted solutions managed by SherWeb or our partners. And that extends even into IP, telephony, VoIP I should say, online backup. And within the SharePoint aspect at SherWeb, there are quick deployments options around BrightWork with SharePoint Foundation, a multi-tenant offering. However, if your needs for whatever reason require you to have a dedicated SharePoint farm, a SharePoint private cloud solution is available in the platform as a service section on which BrightWork can be installed in collaboration with Connex, and that could be your dedicated environment. So lots of different cloud solutions at SherWeb. And finally, our overall approach when it comes to cloud is really to simplify the cloud for end customers, from the solution analysis using expert partners like Connex, to managing and billing, so a great online portal for you to manage all of your cloud solutions, simple, easy to understand invoicing, and of course all of the migration and onboarding services that you might require. So with partners like Connex, who are the experts at the application level and integration and deployment, well, we will join our expertise to them in regards to perhaps data migration. If we're talking about Office 365 or other kind of infrastructure as a service application or line of business needs, then migration and onboarding assistance can be done to move your data and application to the cloud. So we have, in collaboration with the partners, all the expertise to move you to the cloud across the solutions that you've identified that are compatible with cloud services in general, and to do so with a quick deployment, minimum downtime, and really a clear path that is based on practices that we've built over the last 20 years with 50,000 plus migrations executed. And that journey really ends with the ongoing 24/7 support. So once you're done the deployment and onboarding phase, then through our partners or with SherWeb, you have access to 24/7 support that is both available in French and English, is based here in North America, and is only 60 seconds or less average answer time away. So when you need to talk to someone, there's someone, a specialized certified technician that can answer your needs and start troubleshooting or working on your request 60 seconds or less away on average. And of course, all of these services, all of this customer experience and managed services are enhanced with our partners like Connex that can add another level of managed services, of knowledge and deployment expertise to our offering, and which is why all of us together, we've had great success in market delivering these types of project management solutions to customers of all sizes and shapes. So that will complete my section. As far as next steps, before we get into the Q&A, basically you can contact SherWeb, BrightWork, or Connex, but I really recommend you to go through Connex as the integration and implementation partner. Connex is really the one that will be able to answer your questions, analyze your requirements, build a plan, and any need or assistance that they might have from SherWeb or even from BrightWork will be communicated from Connex to us. However, feel free to reach out to any of the parties in question. On that note, once again, thank you for your time, and let's open the Q&A. So, Daniel, we've got an easy one for you. Do you have a French version of the solution available?
Of course. And I forgot to say that in the world, we are the language partner also for BrightWork. So we're the one doing the translation for the French version in the world. So yes, we do.
All right, perfect, thank you. Here's another one. So Eamon, this one's for you. Why did you use SharePoint as the basis for this solution?
Interesting question, yeah. SharePoint was collaborative. So that's a collaborative platform, so that makes a lot of sense for project management. But the architecture of SharePoint was very intriguing. It had a list architecture. So you could have a list of issues, a list of risks, a list of tasks. And then those lists were contained within a site. And then a site would mimic a project. And those sites were contained within a site collection. And that site collection could mimic a project office or a portfolio of projects for an organization. So by its intent, collaborative, and by its architecture, it just smacked and cried out for a project management plugin.
Okay, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. All right, well, this one's for me. Where is the data hosted? Well, as I said, there's multiple data centers available at SherWeb. The primary one for a Canadian customer base is out of the Montreal region. This is a tier 3+ data centers that has all of the physical security and all of the requirements to be within that classification. And while I'm on that point, let's talk a little bit about that infrastructure. So SherWeb's environment, no matter what cloud service we're talking about, is a very secure and high available environment. So we have for the SharePoint environment a 5.9, so 99.999% service level agreement availability, which is financially backed. So if for whatever reason the availability of the solution does not meet our SLAs, so that's 5 nines, there's financial compensations that will be that can be given to you as the customer. And the infrastructure itself is SOC 2 Type 2 certified. And this is a third-party, so external audit done by KPMG that is done on a yearly basis that comes in and evaluates close to 500 different controls, touching primarily security, accessibility, and confidentiality of the data. So really everything around making sure that your data is yours and that, of course, you have access to it, that you can take it whenever you wish to leave, but that information is not accessible by other tenants, so other customers within the multi-tenant environment, or is highly secure from intrusion from the outside. Let's see here. So, Daniel, this one's for you. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the need of having someone to implement the solutions. Like, how often is it required to have an expert partner like yourself?
Well, there's different opinion about that, but yeah, yes, you can start on yourself. But we've seen in the past that starting on yourself, you make some mistake and you need to restart again. So when we do some work with the client, we actually assume that their needs fits well into the solution. So that's why BrightWork is an adaptive solution. That's so it can fit your needs. Beside the template that we saw with Eamon, in all of our clients are using those kind of templates, but we need to fix some of the component inside the template to be sure that they address their needs. So that's why maybe you need a little help to do that, and just to be sure that you're doing it the right way and you're not restarting back all the old process, let's say weeks or months later that you just start. So that's why. So it can be maybe only some hours, but it's some hours well spent with us, combining with our expertise and our commitment to achieve what you need to do with BrightWork. That's why.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. This next one, It comes from Cedric. Cedric, this can be addressed to you, Eamon, or Daniel. Cedric says, does this product lend itself to the more adaptable and iterative project methodologies such as Agile, Scrum, DevOps, and so forth?
Sure, Cedric, yeah. So you can manage agile projects on this with using the task list as a backlog. From a DevOps point of view, it doesn't have integration. If you think of something like Visual Studio Team Systems, or VSTS from Microsoft, that solution would have integration with code, so that when you're running your projects, you have integration with the code, and you can track the changes made to the code, and they can be included in your builds, and that makes your DevOps easier. So we're not covering that end of the spectrum. In fact, we use the Microsoft tools that I just mentioned for all of that ourselves. But for the project management side of the house, yes, yeah. The whole point, of course, is probably, Cedric, around Agile and Scrum and methodologies like that. It's all process for the sake of communication. To increase the level of communication and therefore the collaboration to have a more successful outcome. So I would say from that point of view, the SharePoint solution will be quite suitable and quite successful.
Let me add, Eamon, that we also get some templates for the Agile methodology, the PMI and all the stage gates. And that's where we come by helping you guys, making sure that those templates can fit what you expect from those methodologies. So I'm adding that, yes, there is some solution covering every big methodology in project management.
Sure.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. This one's more for you, Eamon. Can I categorize resources into product teams and report capacity across work teams?
Yeah, you can. There is the capability to have an individual, say Mike, a role, say a role would be database administrator, software architect, and the third level, which would be a team, an IT team, a finance team, or whatever. And in so doing, you can do some forecast and resource reporting across that, and Daniel and his team will be able to help with that. Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. We have Tony here who's asking about integration options. So can this SharePoint platform be integrated with financial SAP systems, for example, so that revenue and profit forecasts from different line of business can be pulled directly from SAP?
My answer is yeah.
Daniel, go ahead. Daniel, go ahead.
No, yeah. We're just doing a big project. It's not SAP, but it's Oracle Financial, and that's what we're doing. We're integrating BrightWork, combining the financial aspect coming from their financial system. And we got a big expertise in that. I myself, and I'm a CPA myself, so that's where the expertise came useful with those kind of projects. So the response is yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and Tony, just to add to Daniel's answer, we have a number of customers who do that, and I don't know how technical you are, but obviously Connect can help with that. But essentially, you once you do the business analysis, which is the key, really, isn't it? You can have an external list in SharePoint in a BrightWork site, which is linked to your SAP, so that information is pulled in there, and then that's included in the BrightWork reports at the project level, the portfolio, the project office, and so on. So it's quite an elegant solution, not a hack, and something that works extremely well, Tony. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. This one may be a little bit to myself, but Danielle, perhaps you can complement. From Tara, do you have versions that work in SharePoint 2013 or 2016, or is this for SharePoint Online, so Office 365 only? So I'll begin if you don't mind, Daniel. So what we discussed about is really the BrightWork application on SharePoint 2013. Correct, Daniel?
Yeah, but we can add it on 27, 2010, and 2013 at this point. I know that BrightWork is working on the 2016 version and also the Office 365 version coming rapidly, I think. Eamon can respond?
Yeah, so BrightWork released a version for SharePoint 2016 sometime last year, but we have a new release of the software. And actually today, Daniel, believe it or not, we finished the latest release on SharePoint 2016.
Oh.
Yeah, so the latest release was finished on SharePoint 2013 a few weeks ago, and today we finished it on 2016. Yeah.
And what about Office 365? What does that look like on your roadmap?
Yeah, so I hesitate to give specific dates and so on, but come back to us in 2018, and we're anticipating having the first, probably a free version, a smaller free version, available in early 2018. So we have a team working on it quite hard, and yeah, it's coming out very well. It's very exciting for us. But it's actually not something, I think that's the first time I've talked about it in public. So please don't tweet that one on me. But for those who stayed this long on the webinar, you know, you deserve that information for staying the hour with us. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know what it's like giving dates. It's always tough to do, but we appreciate the visibility on this, Eamon. Thank you. So we're almost at the top of the hour here. We're going to take one more question, and this one's more for you, Daniel. What are the required acquisition, deployment, and operation fees or costs?
Oh, well, the cost of the solution. I know that SherWeb, you can speak about that option into the cloud. Our services start as low as under $1,000 if you need the rapid deployment offer that we do, but it's not. We're talking about some thousands of dollars, combining our expertise and our assistance deploying the solution into your organization. But if you need more than that and more than a project management structure project, that we need to be addressed with you, with the client, and just to draft the plan with you guys and to see how much would it cost. But let's say that with the rapid methodology or the 35-hour banks, it starts, let's say, at between $900 and $4,000, let's say, those kind of range, budget-wise.
Okay, so fairly manageable.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
so we're not talking about big investment of the client to start with that kind of solution. That's why we choose to be a partner with BrightWork. We were used to work with bigger solution that took much more time and much more effort and much more money to implement. That's not the case with BrightWork. That's a rapid approach, yeah.
Perfect. And as far as the hosting side, including the BrightWork licenses, the starting price point is $42 per month per user, and that comes with a certain amount of storage included. So that's the 5.9 availability, financially backed SharePoint Foundation, plus BrightWork applications. However, reach out to ourselves, to Daniel. We'll be happy to do a need assessment, and if need be, we can explore the private cloud options, which are also within the offering options here at SherWeb. So on that note, we'll wrap things up. I'd like to thank sincerely Eamon and Daniel for your time today. Thank you.
Thanks.
And of course, all of our participants for taking some of your valuable time to be with us today. We look forward to talking with you. Feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'll continue the conversation. So on that note, Thank you once again, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, JP. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.